All right, well, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name's Monica with Assessments 24/7. We're going to go over the best of 2020 and kind of summarize some of the webinar information we went over throughout the year, and then talk about some exciting things in 2021 that are coming up and how to apply some of what we learned in this year. So that'll be cool. I have some housekeeping tips. We are recording this webinar. So we will send you an email with the recording. There'll be an email of all the slides as well. You'll get that in the email. And we really encourage everyone to participate. So we have so many attendees. The best way to do that is to submit your questions and we'll answer them in the Q&A section on the webinar. So please do send us all the questions and we will try our best to answer a few of those live at the end. And we are going to take a survey. You'll get that in the email as well. We only create these webinars with your feedback. So we listen to you and we take that feedback and we create new webinars. And that's what we'll do for next year too. So please do fill out the survey. You'll be entered to win 2 free assessments. So thanks again for being here. With that, I'd love to introduce our CEO, Brandon Parker. He's going to take it away.
All right, thank you, Monica. Thank you, everybody, for attending. The purpose of today's webinar is to cover some of the main points of some previous webinars that we've done. I thought it would be a creative idea, including your feedback, to give you a summary of what we've covered in 2020. And as Monica said, give you some options and ideas for moving into 2021. So I've pulled in a few members of the team. Each one of them, each topic here was one of their webinars, and they're going to come on in and give their summaries and points. And we're going to cover the best practices for the virtual workshops with Kathy. Monica is going to come back for the marketing assessments section. Jennifer will be joining the training materials and dashboard resources. I will cover a little bit of Higher Sense along with Jen, and then Angie will come in covering her webinar she did on scaling up your coaching business with DISC. So once again, thank you all for attending, for being here, for partnering with us. I know 2020 has been an interesting year for everybody. I'm super proud of what our team has been able to do together. I love our employees. The partnerships with you guys. It's just been a blessing to have these jobs and to work with you and to partner and produce what we've done in 2020. And I'm very much looking forward to 2021 and doing what we do for you. So with that, I believe, Kathy, you're going to jump on in for best practices for virtual workshops.
Thank you, Brandon. Welcome, everybody. As Monica said, you're going to get links to the actual webinars that we did previously. And these are some of the key takeaways to the one that I did earlier this year on best practices for virtual workshops. This is something that many people have had to figure out how to do this year. How do I move my business online? And the thing that we want you to be able to take away is that this is absolutely doable. It may be scary the first time if it's not something you've ever done before, but it's absolutely doable. I've done a number of them this year. So I want to share some of the key takeaways from that webinar. And of course, you could go watch the full length one for more details. So number one, pre-planning and practice are absolutely key to success. So you want to practice and plan out your content, the length of time, and you want to be really careful about that. And I go over specifics in that in the previous webinar as well, but you want to make sure that you practice what you're going to say, especially if it's the first time. Almost always, if you think it's going to take you 5 minutes to say something, it's probably going to take you 8 to 10 minutes. So you never want to go over your time. You always want to practice that so you have a flow, so you're not stumbling, and so that it's nice and smooth. You want to practice with your tools, any activity materials that are going to be needed in advance. And I go into detail about that in that workshop as well, or in that webinar. Considering the logistics So not just your professional presentation, you certainly want to have that, but also your immediate surroundings. You want to make sure that it's not distracting. You want to make sure, somebody was just saying they have the dogs in the other room and they're not going to be barking. You want to make sure that you take care of things like that. If you know a delivery is going to be coming to the door, make sure that somebody's going to be there to handle that. Remove any distractions. Interactive tools, number 3, will really help keep participants engaged and learning. Everybody has had to move to online learning, and we're sort of being bombarded by it. So you want to make sure that as much as you can, you get people involved. They're not just hanging out because they're probably going to get distracted. So as much as you can build interactive activities into your presentation, it's going to make it so much better. And I've actually even done 4-hour workshops. That's the limit. I won't do any more than that. And there are a lot of breaks involved, but people have actually told me that it absolutely did not feel like it was 4 hours. It was felt like maybe an hour or so, just because it was so interactive. That's really critical, especially the longer the time you're going to spend online, the more interactive it really needs to be. Keep the disc styles in mind as you establish and adjust pace and content. So especially if you're teaching disc, you really want to use what it is that you're teaching. But this is one of our most popular assessments. You want to keep in mind the styles of the people that you're interacting with, that you are presenting to. So this is not just for you understanding them, but you also want them to be able to learn from you. So paying attention to the styles in the room, so to speak, the online room, you want to make sure that you speak to all 4 styles. You want to adjust the pace, the content as necessary, and you want to think about your own style. For example, if you're an I style, you're going to tend to present in the style of an I. But if you do that the entire way through without paying attention to the fact that you have C's in the room, you may be losing them or overwhelming them if you're not paying attention to that. So you really want to keep the styles in mind. And then finally, include key elements of effective workshops. That really helps you maintain the flow. So things like the hook, as we call it, in teaching and training. That's where you get people interested in the beginning. It's called the hook. The learning objectives or the agenda. You really want to make sure that you have that and follow that agenda. Making sure you have engaging activities, direct instruction. You want to break them up into partners or groups where necessary. And then you want to have some assessment and evaluation throughout so that you can assess whether or not they're learning the material. That also keeps them engaged, because if they know that that's going to happen, then that helps them to remember to really be focused and engaged. And then finally, you want to wrap it up in a fun way and make sure that you've covered everything that you needed to and that you've answered all of the questions that were posed. So those are the key takeaways. Now, here are some of the things that I've been doing, all of which I just talked about, but these are the things that have really been effective. And some of the people that I have been working with, many of you who may be listening right now have employed some of these things as well. Breakout rooms are a key for workshops in particular, especially when you are spending a couple of hours together. That really helps people to kind of learn together, break it down into smaller groups rather than just listening to one person teaching the entire time. Partners and group practice, the more you can immediately turn around and practice something or teach it to somebody else, the more it's going to solidify in your brain. Quizzes and polls, that's a popular thing on Zoom. Many of those kinds of tools you can use in forms as well. And breaks, especially for the longer ones. You want to make sure that you do that. Now, the last one I've put in bold for a reason. Record and playback. This is the best way for you to improve as a presenter. You want to go back. Teachers do this when they're learning how to be teachers and they're getting certified. It's actually required now. They have to record their lessons, go back and evaluate themselves. You'll learn so much about your own presentation style and where you might be able to improve. And you can use this too. It doesn't have to be just with full workshops. This can be your one-on-one with your clients. Record the call for them so that they can go back and watch. They learn more about themselves as they're interacting with you, and you learn more about your coaching. So I really highly encourage you to start using that if you haven't done it. It can feel a little bit painful at first, but I promise you, you're going to learn so much from it. So those are my big tips and key takeaways for the virtual workshops. The bottom line is virtual workshops work. I've done multiple this year, and I have yet to have anybody say that it wasn't effective, that they weren't engaged, and that they wish they hadn't done it. They all loved it. So don't be afraid of it. Go look at the full workshop.
Thanks, Kathy. You are the pro too. You've done some amazing work this year in terms of virtual workshops. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So now getting into marketing. Just like Kathy said, everything that we're talking about today, there's a full webinar that we already did earlier this year that you can watch. And there's one on marketing. It's very extensive, so I highly recommend that you go back and watch this. In my mind, this is like valuable marketing material that you would pay thousands of dollars for. So take advantage of this. It's very detailed. So again, what we're doing today is just giving you the key takeaways. So the number one thing when you're marketing your business using assessments to market, you want to target your market. Who are you selling to? What do they do on a daily basis? Where are they? Who is it that you're selling to? And once you target that market, you need to communicate with those people where they are, right? So whatever you do in terms of your messaging, just be sure that you're communicating where that target is. And we do this internally. We always track what's working and what's not. So you can do split testing with emails, you can do all sorts of experiments, but use Google Analytics to look at what's working and what's not working. And obviously continue what's working and discontinue what's not working. I always think of targeting like fishing. So we talk to a lot of consultants that are like, I want to sell to everyone. Well, let's think of it this way. If you were fishing and you were like, I want to catch all the fish in the ocean. Well, it doesn't work that way. You have to use specific bait to catch specific fish. And this is what we're talking about when we target our marketing. We basically go after the people that we want as our clients. And you have to do that. Of course, you can take care of anyone who comes your way, right? You can service those clients. But when we're going out and getting business, we have to be strategic and specific to that target market. Social media is unavoidable. You have to use social media. And this is what we always do. It is kind of the best formula. Choose the social media platform where your customers are and where you feel comfortable, right? So we took a survey when we did this webinar, and it showed that I think it was like 78% of our clients were on LinkedIn. So that's just some advice. But again, you have to find out which platform your customers are using. And we always want to be relevant with social media. It creates trust. When people see you over and over again and get used to seeing your posts, they start to trust. And that's always important in order to gain more business. One very basic piece of advice, but we do find that this isn't working sometimes. Check out your website and make sure your social media links are on your actual website. A lot of people forget to do that, or the link is outdated. Just make sure that those social media accounts are linked to your website. And we always give this advice: follow hashtags. So consulting, assessments, DISC, those hashtags, you'll be able to interact with people. It's not just about posting what's important to you. Interact with other people's posts and what they're saying and get that conversation started. That's extremely important. And then I think this is the most important thing, is to be yourself, right? No one can compete with you in the market. You are the only person on the face of the earth with your specific career background, with your authentic message and life messaging. So talk about that. Those types of messages are going to resonate with people, and your uniqueness in your story is automatically going to set you apart. So be yourself within your marketing materials, on social media. It will absolutely connect you with the clientele. And the last piece of advice is to use our marketing material. There's a ton of marketing material on your dashboard if you have an account with us, and it's free to use that. So if you have questions about that, let us know. As we move into 2021, we're really poised to use more video. And this is kind of the consensus that we've been hearing within the marketplace, is that video is hot. We use Magnify. It makes it incredibly easy to record yourself, but also have your clients do video testimonials for you. So here's Brandon's CEO update. Honestly, we gained a client through this. I always ask, why did you choose us? And they said, I really liked the CEO's video. I thought it was awesome. So this stuff will work and it will bring you business. This is our client, Will Mahoon, and he did a video testimonial for us. It's very easy. You just send them a link and they can record from their camera or cell phone. So very, very easy. So that's really my takeaway. If you're not already using video, start. And if you already are using video, use it more. And again, when you get these slides, you can click on these links to watch the entire marketing webinar. And I encourage everyone to do that. So with that, I'd love to introduce Jen Larson, our queen of training. She's going to take it away.
Thanks, Monica. I just want to add one other piece to that, where you might find webinars. Brandon also posted it for you in the chat. And if you don't have access to that link right now, you can always go to the Assessments 24x7 website and look under our About tab. Toward the bottom, you'll see the link to the webinar page, and that'll get you connected to all of those different things that we've talked about here and some others that maybe we aren't covering because they weren't from this year or they were from previous years. All right, so jumping into training materials and dashboard resources, several months ago, we did a session specifically around what do you have to support you as a practitioner, as a coach, as a person who's learning and sharing all of this assessment information with others. And we looked at not only the training materials that are available for certified practitioners, but also for non-certified practitioners or those who are just interested in learning more about these different models and the assessments that we offer. So the first thing you'll see here is that training materials are always available. One of the benefits of Assessments 24/7 is you have access to your resources all the time through your training dashboard or through the training materials link that you get when you are involved in a certification program directly. On that page where we have materials available for all those programs, you see specific tools to help you grow and develop your own knowledge of the model, to provide really comprehensive and powerful debriefs, to enhance your coaching conversations, to offer different workshops and trainings. You'll have PowerPoint presentations, facilitator guides, and a number of other resources, including activities that can be done in class, and resources to support your marketing. Whether you use information that we've provided for you or modify what we've provided and make it your own, you are welcome to take whatever's available there to grow your business in the way that meets your needs and your clients' needs the best. The third thing, and this was an important note, you can access trainer materials from your dashboard where you go to set up links or get assessments or to help other people run group reports or whatever it might be that you do in your dashboard, or by going directly to the trainer materials library, which you can also access from the Assessments 24/7 website. There's a little asterisk here on my screen, and you'll see that that attaches to the dashboard note. The passwords that are listed on your dashboard are for non-certified programs. So if you're not in a certification program and you want to know what materials are available for you, you can go directly to that website that's linked there, put in the non-certified password, and get some information and resources to support your development. If you purchase a certification program, you're sent a special password for certification that opens up a variety of additional resources and much more depth to your learning process. And you can certainly find out more about that. If you'd like to go through a certification with us, just let us know. The last thing that we covered in our training materials and dashboard resources webinar was other assessments that we offer in addition to our core products of DISC and Motivators. We have 360-degree assessments in EIQ, in a leadership effectiveness survey, as well as in DISC that you can use to get a 360 perspective to see if how you are behaving and your intentions are matching what people are seeing and experiencing of you. We've also got combination reports. So perhaps you need a DISC and Motivators combination or an EIQ and DISC combination report. Those are available as well. We talked about specialty reports. So some of the things that may not be a part of our most often offered assessments or most taken advantage of, but something that's special or that addresses a particular need falls under those specialty reports. We had a big conversation about hiring and selection, and we're also going to address that in just a minute with Brandon and I, so I'm not going to talk too much about that one. And you can also access your team reports, which are based off of the DISC and Motivator self-reports that are taken, and you can bring results together for a group of people to help them learn to understand each other and build mutually beneficial relationships. So lots of different possibilities for you that can help you be as effective as possible when you are learning and growing with this. So how best do you use all of these materials and resources? Well, the first thing is to get familiar. And I don't expect that you go into the resource library and memorize everything that's available there. But it's great if you can be really familiar with what's there. So when you need something, that can be your first place to go to see if you can find a resource to support you, particularly when you are developing your knowledge or beginning those conversations. But even for seasoned and proficient assessment users and coaches and debriefers and workshop leaders, there's always something in there that will help you grow your knowledge. So even if you've been using this for a really long time, see what's in there. There's probably something that you'll review that you may have looked at several times and you'll still get a new message from it. It's kind of like watching a movie the first time and then the second time and seeing something that you missed. It's that same kind of experience. So definitely get in there and grow your knowledge and review the materials again, even if you've seen them before. And lastly, try something new. So one of the things that Kathy and I strive for is making sure that each of our conversations is something that's fresh and interesting and engaging no matter what someone's level is. And I know she would also say that having lots and lots and lots of conversations with people over this content in the last several years, we are never surprised by the fact that something new comes up that's a surprise for even the two of us. We believe that we are incredibly proficient DISC and Motivators people, for example, but sometimes a conversation comes from the side that you weren't quite expecting and you get to learn something brand new. So if you can find ways to keep the conversation fresh or explore something new that you haven't necessarily talked about before, you will have a lot of new opportunities at your fingertips. If you're only using DISC, maybe look at what some of the other things we offer are that you can couple with that to help grow your business as well as support your clients in a different way. So the key takeaway for my piece is utilize all the resources that are available to you. That doesn't mean you have to do them all the time, but absolutely take advantage of what it is that we've provided. It's really amazing stuff. Now, I'm going to transfer us a little sideways and also stay in the same vein. I'm going to have Brandon come back on and join me, and the two of us are going to talk with you about HireSense because it's so amazing and it's such a big part of what we're doing now, and I can hardly contain my excitement. So I'll let Brandon go.
Great. Thank you, Jen. All right. I will assume many of you have already seen some marketing or have heard about HireSense or possibly are using HireSense. So to give you a little bit of background, we have been using the technology and using the assessments in general to help people during their decision process, whether that is with hiring, whether that has been in a development position or stepping an employee to another department. And we've been doing this for years, and we've been using the technology that we have. And it was about, I don't know, a year or so ago, we decided, let's package this and take everything that we've learned and everything that we've done to this point, and let's provide something that could be very helpful to our clients. And that is what brought about HireSense. So giving you some background on HireSense, and there is a full webinar on this as there is with each topic. But giving you the key points. So what we have identified with HireSense is that it will help save time and money using this system when screening candidates. The way the technology works, well, let me get into that in a second here. So there's two ways. So this is the baseline. There's two ways to use HireSense. One is that you just basically hire us and work with us, and we're the experts. We analyze the data. We work with you on the details and the requirements that you're looking for. Now, whether it's you and your company or it's a client that you're working with, you might play the middle person and say, we're looking to hire for this position. You'll work with our training team. We'll identify some of the benchmark criteria. We'll get all the details that we need. We'll provide you with access to obtain that data through the assessments. And then you'll have an opportunity to sit down with the training team to discuss the results. And we'll use that technology to say, how about you consider this person or this person? And that's all that we're basically doing, is providing you with options to look at, which will hopefully save some time and money, because you're not having to look through every single applicant, every single person in regards to some of the base aspects that data is able to analyze. The second option is that you could become the expert yourself by going through our certification process, which is an extensive piece relating to DISC motivators and a critical thinking Hartman environment, where you'll go through certification. There's also a component on how to use the HireSense system, the technology itself. So those are the two options, and we've been seeing from both directions. There are a lot of people that are just very interested in working with us. It's almost as if you have just brought in an entire team into your company, helping you help your clients or your company make those decisions. And that's been great for many people. And then we also have, I think, a dozen or so going through currently at the moment, going through certification right now to be one of our certified partners. There is a web-based technology and there's an app-based technology that is a part of HireSense. So depending on which level you're going with, working with us or doing this yourself, there is technology that provides data. And we believe basically you're going to get the insights you need to hopefully, in your just whatever your process is, find the right people for the right jobs without having to continually go through a loop of, well, that didn't work, got to try it again, that didn't work. I mean, there's no doubt this is going to give you another layer that you might not have already in that process. And we've been seeing this, and this is where I'm going to bring Jen back in. She's been talking to a lot of clients, has been involved with some of the certification and the training. And so she has some real life stories that she can bring as well. So go ahead, Jen. What would you say have been some of the success stories or some of the points about HireSense?
So I think the first thing is, and when you watch the webinar, the full webinar from before, if you were on the full webinar from before, we talked about some specific case studies of how to use HireSense and how that worked. What I want to bring to this part of the conversation is go watch those because they're amazing. But what we've noticed so far with having lots of conversations with people, both clients and coaches that are becoming practitioners, is that this is a game changer. People are absolutely floored by what is available through this technology and through this resource to help transform and enhance their hiring process. And when they start to dive into the real depth of what's available here, people are amazed at how incredibly accurate it is and how helpful it is in pinpointing exactly what you need to know to be able to have the most effective interview conversations or to ask the right questions in a preliminary experience before bringing someone in for an interview. It's an absolute game changer. People are delighted by what's offered. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot of, and this is more on the practitioner side, is some of my practitioners say, I really want to get certified in this because I want to know how to do it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to offer this as a part of my business. I don't know if I'm in a position to be able to support people in this way. So the other wonderful thing that's come from this is an opportunity for partnership with us, where if you feel like this is a great thing for your clients and you don't have the bandwidth or the desire, you can send them along and we will take care of them in partnership with you to make sure they're getting what they need and you're supporting your clients in what they need. So if you don't have time or the inclination to become the expert, you can still offer this as an incredible resource for the clients that you're working with. And that's been another way that we've seen a lot of success with this so far in just such a short time.
Yeah, and one other piece, and Monica, you can go ahead and move to the next slide. Piggybacking that a little bit, Jen, there have been a lot of coaches and trainers, and their business has been really involved in development and not necessarily part of that hiring process in many cases. And so what this has done, a lot of business coaches have said, this is another addition I can add into this arsenal. If I can help bring good people into these companies, it really helps solidify those longer term relationships. And also with this same data that's used in the selection process, it's also applied in the development side of things. So you have this full progression to helping bring in good people, developing those people, which ultimately is a retention of those people, which then of course is where the money is saved and all of that. So maybe I'm saying what's about to be said here in this slide, I don't know, but I'll pass it back to you, Jen, for those particular pieces.
You did. You covered everything that was on there pretty well.
Okay.
So the only thing I would add to it is that there is a wide variety of ways that this can be applied. So a lot of times when we're talking about having a new technology that's fantastic and amazing, people think, well, that won't work unless you're working just with executives that you're hiring or really seasoned employees that you're working on career planning with and positioning them into a new role and things like that. This works for every role, for every style, for every industry, every place that we have tested it, we have seen great success, whether it's for an entry-level position or someone that is much further along in their career. There are different ways that you go about it. And in training, we talk a lot about how to use it and apply it in those ways. But this can be used for anybody, and it saves time and money and resources, all the things that we discussed before. It is, like I said, it's an absolute game changer. So if you have questions about it, please get in touch with us and let's chat with it. I know the number one question we always get is how much does it cost? So if you want to know more about how much it will cost for you or how it works, let us know. We'd be happy to help you and find a solution that works for your business.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining me on that, Jen. I look forward to having discussions on HireSense, and we look forward to your feedback. And the main takeaway here, wow your clients with the power of HireSense. And in 2021, I hope if you have any opportunities in this particular space that we could partner with you and show you what this does, show you how the system works, show you what the data does, and it'll hopefully benefit you. So moving on to our next webinar.
And Brandon, I'm just going to interject. We are getting a lot of questions about HireSense, and we'll attack some of those at the end of the webinar live. But yeah, there's a lot of questions coming. So hopefully we'll have time.
You got it. All right. Well, I'd like to bring in Angie to cover the main points from her Scale Up Your Coaching Business with DISC webinar. So thank you, Angie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brandon. Wow, this has been some great, valuable information thus far. So I'd like to continue that. In October, the team and I ran a webinar on scaling up your coaching business. And today, like everyone else shared, I want to give you an overview recap of what's happened since the webinar as well. So since the webinar, I have gone deeper with many of you, with many of the coaches, really to customize, implement, and come up with actionable items in their coaching practice on what we discussed in the webinar. So through the conversations, the biggest takeaways coaches had were really changing the mindset of using assessments as part of the client's journey, making it mandatory in the coaching process. In the webinar, I asked you really to think about your coaching process, your business model, and how you're able to add and implement assessments in your business. Using assessments to not just only do let me just give the assessment to a client and learn my client's style, but really to use assessments to coach your client on becoming that strong leader, coach your client on behavior, communication, like I mentioned, using assessments to build personal development plans for the executive team. What else? The leadership and management team, using assessments for hiring, like Brandon had just mentioned, and team building and managing up as well. The last month in working with coaches, it was a big aha moment because they used assessments in the business, but really gave it away for free. So really analyzing your business model and assess when to charge and when to give away for free. In the webinar, we discussed suggested pricing and when and how much to charge. So that was another big aha moment. And even after the webinar, coaches were caught up in all of the assessments to offer and what do I charge for this assessment and what do I do with it? As you know, we have many assessments for you to grow your clients and the business. You yourself have products in your business. So putting all the products, yours, ours, together can be so overwhelming that in the end, you just don't really do anything. Assessments become an underutilized resources because you just don't know where to start or what path to go down. So here's the big takeaway. Through the conversations recently with coaches, I want you to keep it simple. DISC and Motivators is your go-to assessments for all growth. When you do specialty workshops, such as sales workshop, then go with Sales IQ. Know what you have in your toolkit, what you have in your arsenal to use, but to keep it simple for your business and always know that the go-to for growth and getting your clients to move the needle is indeed DISC and Motivators. So in my webinar, I had mentioned about creating this whole product ladder and everything, and that just confused a couple of people. So I just want you to know that your go-to person, you have all the assessments, you have everything that you do, but you'll never go wrong given that combo assessment to your client, the DISC and Motivators. The second point is going deep in the organization, but going deep is not just in the organization. I want you to think about going deep is going beyond the person you are coaching, the business, the CEO. So in a couple of slides, the link to the recording is available to watch or to watch again. I encourage you to click and download the positioning script. After the webinar, couple of success stories. After the webinar, coaches have been using the script to go deeper in the organization and have already made a difference with their clients and in their business, and already positioned that the start of 2021 assessments will be used throughout the organization. So for those of you before the end of the year, start positioning your clients to take assessments to the next level into 2021. Remember, it is not give one assessment and be done. Go deep within the person and go deep in the organization. Keep in mind that you may do multiple assessments with your clients throughout the coaching journey. The third point, very easy and big takeaway, using assessments as an access point for lead generation. You have the tools and resources that they have showed you in your assessments dashboard to do free seminars and paid 2-hour workshops, using creative topics involving communication, leadership, behavior, team, what else? What was the fifth? Relationships. More details are in the webinar for you to do that. So the one thing I've been working with coaches right now to prepare for 21 is to get your 2021 seminar and workshop calendar dates in order. So if you do not have your dates set aside, take the next week to put those seminar and workshop dates so you are prepared for 2021 and increase your revenue using assessments. So using that lead generation, we talk quite a bit about other lead generation tools in the webinar as well that you may want to look into down the road. But right now, since the webinar, I've had 7 or 8 coaches do a seminar within 3 weeks after the webinar. They've had 60 people, 70 people. Actually, one coach had 5 people, but they just signed 5 clients from it and got them into a paid workshop. So using assessments as an access point. So Looking ahead to 2021, you want to go deeper in your knowledge and your clients, and you're not certified, I encourage you to get certified. Jen talked about that. If you are certified and you want to maximize your certification, hey, schedule time with me. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that you're maximizing your certification. We will also be doing webinars specific to coaching each quarter. So be on the lookout for those dates. If there's a topic you would like to learn more about, email me and I'll review the topics and see what we come up with. We will also be, of course, continuing to update your resource center with more collateral for you. We will announce the new material when it becomes available. We'll also be developing a best practice white paper or resource, not sure what that's going to look like yet, on what assessments to use and when to use, really defining that path for assessments to use with your clients. That's what I'm really hoping to do for you. We're also looking into creating assessments business certification. We have a lot of development and goals for you in 2021, and we're excited for you to grow your business with assessments in 2021. So with that being said, those are my key tips and takeaways. The webinar is available to watch, as well as additional resources such as the scripting to help you with your coaching business, as well as a link to my calendar to schedule. But more importantly, for some of you, to add that additional revenue stream, and those who are also already charging, how to increase that revenue with assessment. So watch and enjoy, and feel free to schedule a strategy session for me, and really excited. So Brandon, thank you for allowing me to be part of the team. I think that's it for me and an overview of after the webinar. I'll turn it back over to you, Brandon.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie. And thank you, everybody. We did take a lot of information, cram it in, gave you some key points. You know, virtual workshops has been, as you guys probably know, going virtual was something that we didn't necessarily anticipate was going to be a big focus in 2020, but it sure ended up being what everybody's doing. So I'm thankful that we were able to provide you guys some feedback on that. We're always asked about marketing and marketing concepts. So thank you, Monica. The training materials, you know, there are so many resources in that training environment, especially in our DISC and motivators. Absolutely. We're continually updating those, bringing the content current. If something has lagged a little bit, changing up graphics, adding new materials, you know, the resources there are tremendous, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of them. Higher Sense, we're just excited about that because it's a new release for us, and it's just really helping people. And for those of you that know me, which some of you might, you know, I think my main driver in what I do and why I love what I do is helping people and being a supporting resource and a source to other people's success. So that's where I get my satisfaction and gratification. So knowing that we're doing things here at Assessments 24/7 that is helping you and your real lives is actually what drives me. So, and then finally, you know, Angie coming on board and really being the coach of coaches and bringing so much knowledge and history to this company, that has also been a major impact in helping you. So looking forward into 2021, you know, here's some things that we're focusing on right now. And one of them, which I'm extremely excited about as well, is this kids DISC environment. And so I'll give you a little bit of background on this. There's 3 components that are going to be produced. So there's a new questionnaire specifically written for kids, and the age range is really kind of 3rd grade to 8th grade, give or take. That questionnaire, based on our, you know, already solidified DISC environment, will produce output for parents, for the child, and for a teacher or a coach on tips to best parent, best coach this individual, the child on learning a little bit about themselves, situations at school, and for parents. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works out myself. Now, just being real with everybody, I'm currently sitting in my desk right here. My 10-year-old daughter is about 3 feet away from me doing her homeschooling, which I'm sure many of you are also involved with. And as she's getting older and growing, and this is going to be great. I would love to be able to go to her teachers and her gymnastics coach and say, look, here's some things about my daughter that could help in how you communicate and how you motivate. So I'm excited about it. And I know everybody in some way, shape, or form, you either have children, you know somebody that has children, you work in an education environment. Once again, going to that foundation of where I come from, I think this is going to be so helpful to people and families and children that I'm just really excited to see what the outcome is going to be.
And Brandon, can I interrupt just really quick? This is all great info. We just want to be cognizant of time. We have a ton of questions. So you tell me, what would you rather do?
All right,
Finish this slide or do
I'll fire through this real quick here.
Okay.
Give me 1 more minute here. So we have a relationship environment for DISC. Something else that's available now. If you're interested, email us. My IT team is working on our next generation software. We're putting a lot of focus in 2021 on DISC and motivators. We've found through a lot of research, those 2 assessments are they're the real foundation for success and what is working for everybody and providing great results. Like I mentioned, we're updating our training materials. I've talked about Higher Sense, and we do have a webinar series scheduled for 2021. The first one is going to be relating to sales, which we're calling Stop, Collaborate, and Listen. So that's some of our focus for 2021. Wrapped up quickly. Let's turn it over to questions. And Suzette, fire away, and one of us on the panel here will answer the question.
Great, thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us. We have a few questions here. One, I will get out of the way because I already had some answers from the rest of the team. So our first question here was, do you have any recommendations regarding lighting equipment and video camera for doing virtual presentations? Number one, and I've heard this from multiple people who do recordings and different things, get yourself a ring light. That is going to be your best lighting for directly in front of you. There's many different kinds and you can choose there, but a ring light is going to be your friend, especially if you have poor lighting, similar to my lighting right now. Get yourself some better lighting that way. As far as cameras, it's really person to person and what's going to work with your computer. That can kind of vary, but Logitech is one of the most popular if you want to look into those. So good camera, good lighting is what I get from everybody. Second question here, I think this one is for Monica or Brandon. This is from Marianne. Her question is, what are some hidden target markets that people haven't tapped into yet for DISC assessments?
That's a really good question. The one thing that comes to my mind is I'd love to get more coaches in the tech industry. It's like they just haven't totally adopted it. And that would be huge. I mean, that's not hidden, but it's like hasn't really been extremely explored.
Yeah, well, and I would say this youth and kids environment will be should open up some great doors for everybody. And that's a newer place that I don't see a lot of people focusing on that environment. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I wanted to add middle management. I hear this all the time, and a lot of the people that I'm certifying right now, going through the program, they're really targeting that middle management. A lot of people get promoted from within based on their performance, but not necessarily their ability to lead. And so if they don't have any kind of guidance for that, they tend to stumble. And so this is a market, I think a lot of people are starting to be aware of that because a lot of my clients are talking about it, but I do think that this is just an area that really needs a lot of focus.
Yeah, and I definitely, Kathy, that's actually what I was going to say. I will add on for coaches. I've been working with coaches on targeting recruiting companies, temporary agencies. That is a target that a lot of coaches miss. And that is a target to where you can do a lot with is recruiting agencies, not just hiring, but you do have the resources to do other things, employee retention, coach them on growth, coach them on, direct hiring, et cetera. So there's a lot you can do with recruiting agencies, temp agencies that you can put assessments in. So I would recommend that, there could be a very good focus for coaches in that arena, because I think it's common sense, but yet it's one that's always missed with coaches.
Well, I'm sure we have some more. There's a lot of comments coming in about the kids' desk world, and a lot of you have been working in this space and have been doing what you can with what is available. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to see is just going to blow your mind. It's going to be wonderful. So keep going, Suzette.
Yeah. Great information. I will also tell you, I get comments about the kids' disc all the time. We can't wait for it to come out. We're all really excited. The next question is from one of our attendees. I recently told someone I offer the DISC behavioral style. They asked me what's the full name for this assessment. I told them what the DISC stands for. I'm wondering what you recommend in regards to how we label this product so people feel like they understand what it is and don't feel off-put by, quote, behavior assessment.
Yep, I've heard that one before as well. We'll refer to it as a style assessment, or DISC styles. I think what happens with a lot of people is they worry that there's something negative or bad about a DISC assessment, or that behavioral analysis is a bad thing, or there is a negative, and there isn't. And how do we convey that through just a name or a title? Jen and Kathy, you might be approached with this question, so I can.
Yes.
You're
All the
nodding.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I like to refer to it as a communication tool. What you learn with the DISC, and anytime you use the word assessment and then you use the word behavior, people will think, oh, you're just judging my behavior. And in a way we sort of are, but in a positive way. So the positive spin on it is that this is a communication tool. You learn about yourself, and at the same time you learn how to identify communication preferences of others, so that you know how to adapt for mutual benefit. And a great example that I like to give is, to overuse the metaphor, if we are an onion, DISC is the outer layer of the onion that you can see and interact with. So if I can perceive that a person is likely a D or an I, they're going to want me to kind of get to the point, especially if they're a D, then I know I need to get to the point. It's just a tool to learn how to effectively communicate with a person. That's a much easier sell.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just describe the platinum rule and they're hooked.
Yeah, I like communication tool, communication style. And Tim even made a comment about that. So thank you, Tim. All right, we had some higher sense questions as well.
Yeah, there was one other question here. How does higher sense account for or mitigate systematic bias?
That's a good one. Jen?
I'm all over it. All right. So the first thing that I want to say is that there are two sides to systemic bias. So systemic bias is either a structural bias or an institutional bias, or some sort of bias that comes from either our tendency to move toward or away from a particular outcome as a human, or from a process that moves toward or away from a particular outcome. So I'm going to answer this in two ways because I'm not sure which the request is referring to. But the first is from talking about a human perspective. So if you have a systemic bias, and the joke is if you have a brain, you have a bias. So everyone has bias. We all have things that we lean toward or away from, depending on a variety of things that have crafted our response to the world and what our brain understands or doesn't. So because we all as humans have a bias, this assessment is intended, and I'm talking about higher sense, the assessment is intended to eliminate that bias or to highlight it in such a way that you are informed about what your bias is, either toward or away from something, so that you can intentionally do something about that. Either acknowledge that bias exists and it's okay in this circumstance, or that bias exists and there's something that I might want to do about it. The critical thinking component of higher sense is based on the Hartman value profile, where Robert Hartman determined an objective measure for how to look at bias and what to do about it. And so part of that higher sense stuff is all engulfed in how do we access what those biases look like, and then either mitigate them, account for them, or work to resolve them. So that's the human side of the bias. The second side is the process side. And within the assessments for HireSense, all of them have been validated for reliability and to be sure that they are valid measures in a variety of ways for what we are trying to evaluate. So from a systemic point, from a how does the system remove, account for, mitigate those biases, it is designed to be neutral and allow information to be shared that then can be interpreted to determine if that bias is going to be relevant or challenging or something that we want to pay attention to at all, depending on the position, the team, the culture, etc. So both of those assessments of systemic bias, the human side and the process side, have been designed to be accounted for and mitigated as necessary, depending on what it is that the position is hiring for, the company is looking for, and that individual expresses.
All right, that was basically what I was going to say. So thank you, Jen.
Good job, Brandon.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, so I think we're running low on our time. If there are no, you guys can all email us at sales@assessments24x7.com. We also have the hello@assessments24x7.com. We'll answer any questions you have anytime. You can pick the phone up and call us at any time. We're all here. We've got the same mission, the same platform. We're here for you to do the best we possibly can to provide you with the resources that are going to help you be successful. And I truly mean that. That's at the heart of all of our employees and our team here at Assessments 24/7. So reach out to us, consider us part of your team, your business. We're your partner. And we look forward to talking to everyone. When you're ready to send an email, give us a call, or anything we can do, let us know. And thanks for attending. And we'll see you in 2021, if not sooner. And happy holidays to everybody. Well, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.